Hello, Brightburn YouTube Academy. How's everyone doing today? I am doing great. It's cold outside. We have a cold snap in our country. It's pretty cold. Even people who live in cold places are complaining about it. And, you know, Californians are pussies. So just a little bit cold and we start getting upset. We start getting all emotional. Where's our heater and blankets? Whatever. But today, ironically, now that I'm talking about code, I want to start a new series, and it's a short series, but it's called Death is the Best Teacher. Death is the best teacher. It is. Because it tells us the truth. The truth is that we have a limited time on this rock. And if you don't acknowledge it, if you don't respect it, you can find yourself making very terrible decisions that might make you meet them faster. Also, come in a way where you wasted all your time. But let me tell you why I wanted to start this. And I'm going to tell you why it spoke to me. Number one, there was this old man on a, what do you call it? I think a Facebook reel. It's really short. And there's this old Russian man, and he has a death with stars around it on his palm. Not the palm, on the top of his hand. Looks pretty old. Looks pretty badass, if I have to say. I was like, wow, that looks cool. But he said, people often ask me, why do I have death on my hand? And he proceeded to say 5 principles of why, or 5 reasons why he has death on his hands. Because he said, death is the best teacher. And that's the first one. First one is this. Make death your friend, for it is the best teacher. So, I've been obsessed with the afterlife, and it all started about 20 years ago, maybe even longer, 25 years ago, where I had a hernia, and I had to get an operation. Went to the doctor. Doctor says, okay, we're going to need to operate it. We're going to need a cut, put it like a mesh in there that'll hold all your tripas inside, to hold all your guts inside, and you'll be all fixed, brand new used, right as rain. And he said it'll happen in 2 weeks. And what happened was, which was strange and didn't expect it from me, I started to get tormented in my mind about going under with anesthesia, because that's never happened to me. I've been sedated for like dental work and for my adenoids when I was young, but I've never been deep under, where it is sort of a risk. It's a small risk, about 20% risk that you don't wake up from anesthesia. But I was tormented by that. And as I talked to my friends and my family, my wife and my best friend, and anybody who would listen to me vent over these 2 weeks, because I just didn't like it. I just didn't like what I was feeling. You know, it really came down to that I was fearing death. I was fearing death, and there started my journey of embracing death as a friend. I didn't want to ignore it, because I felt I would be scared of it always. So I started to do a deep dive in not how many people die. It's just the moment of death in the mind and in the spirit, and what different religions believe, all to mitigate my fear. of death. And it has been a journey. And because of it, I like going to cemeteries. And I've always liked going to cemeteries. I just didn't want to hide my face from the truth. I felt it was disempowering for me. But to look. Now, don't get me, I'm not, always looking for death in any type of way. But I acknowledge it, and I know that it's in the corner, and it's going to hand me off to God. And it's a friend that meets me in the end to guide me to the next plane or dimension. I am a Christian, so I believe into God's hands. I hope I'm loud enough. So when I saw this guy say that, and he was giving these 4 truths, it's everything I knew instinctually, but I love definitions, and I love putting things in ways that people can understand, and he spoke some great truth. And I was like, yes, this is stuff I've been trying to, not really, because most often people just don't want to talk about death, and I don't want to make people depressed. But and I knew what mitigated the fear of death for me was everything he said. I just never tried to articulate it in a way because it's unpopular to talk about. But he didn't give a shit. He wears it proudly on his arm, and he tells these people, and their life-changing principles. So this is one of the first ones. And the first one is make death your friend, because it is the best teacher. The best teacher. Life suffers no fools. If you do dangerous things, there's a saying that says, if you play stupid games, you get stupid prizes. And the gift who gives that prize is death for some people. We all get there. We are going to all get there. We're not going to avoid it. Even if we come with life-extending technology, even if we're able to clone another body and dump our consciousness into thousands of bodies for thousands of years, we're still going. That's still going to run out for some of us, for most of us. And for all of us, if you look at the universe, because sooner or later, the universe is going to expand apart and nothing will be held up and we'll all be into oblivion. So we're not going to escape death. Death wins, but we're not in a game against death. We're not in a fight against death because death's never going to lose. Do you understand that? It's part of the mindset. Death is not our enemy. Death is like the elevator door that opens, that we have to go through. It's not a fight. It's an inevitable thing that's going to happen. And the more you run from it, and there's definitely people who run from it. There's definitely people who hide. And like I said before, COVID was a really eye-opener. 3 million deaths so far in our country alone. I don't know how many worldwide. To live your life. There's a saying. Those who have never really lived are afraid to die. And that's always stuck with me. Because I, as a minister, have been at many deathbeds. And not all of them, people were happy that they were going away. Not all of them have this storytell ending where they're saying goodbye to all their loved ones. There are some people who are scratching and clawing their way to stay alive. And that's never wanted to be me. And I know by talking to some people why they were doing that. Because they always ran. They always ran from their life. You can't run from death. You can only run from your life. Do you understand that? You can't run from death. You can only run from your life. Death is not something you run away from. Get that? Death is not something you run away from. It's an inevitable thing. Everything dies and gets renewed. You can only run from your life because you're fearing death. So this is a new series. I hope we're just touching it on it right now. And I understand if it's depressing for you. And you may not want to follow this section. I get that. But there'll be a time where you're going to need to hear it. And it's here for you. It's here for you. This subject about death. We're going to cover it. We got 4 more points, and they're profound. They're profound for life. Death. But death is the best teacher. Number 1. Make death your friend, for it is the best teacher. And if you look at it, you know what it is. You know that you can't be wasting time. Right? Death is the referee that tells you the time's up. Okay? You need to be about what you're supposed to do. And you shouldn't run from your life because you're fearing death. That's my add-on to it. So until then, my friends, this is James signing out of the Brightburn YouTube Academy. Hey, there's a QR code in the corner right here that will link you to everything I'm doing. If you need coaching, you need me to speak at one of your events. If you want to join the Brightburn the Brightburn Facebook group, you can link to it there. It gets even deeper. There's some products that I'm now slinging that I think would greatly benefit you. Check that all out with the QR code or in the show notes at jamessalazarmedia.com/sling. Will link you to everything I'm doing. So until then, have a good day, everybody.